Most Canadians believe that when a loved one passes away, the government automatically takes care of sending out any benefits the family is owed. That belief, as understandable as it is, costs Canadian families millions of dollars every single year. The Canada Pension Plan includes several benefits specifically for the families of deceased contributors: a one-time lump sum payment for the estate, a monthly income benefit for surviving spouses, and ongoing support for dependent children. None of these are sent out automatically. Every single one requires your family to apply, and there are deadlines, one of them as short as 60 days, that if missed could mean your family loses access to money they are fully entitled to. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what these CPP family benefits are, who qualifies, what the 2026 amounts look like, and how to make sure your family doesn't leave any of this on the table. And later in this video, I'll explain a newer change to one of these benefits that many people, even those who've looked into this before, haven't heard about yet. This isn't a comfortable topic. Nobody enjoys thinking about what happens after they or someone they love is gone. But the families who are prepared and the ones who know what to do and when are the ones who get through that incredibly difficult time without also facing unnecessary financial confusion. So let's go through this carefully, one piece at a time. The first benefit is the CPP Death Benefit. This is a one-time lump sum payment made from the Canada Pension Plan to the estate of someone who contributed to the plan during their working years. In plain terms, if your spouse or parent worked and paid into CPP, which most working Canadians do, their estate is likely entitled to this payment. The maximum amount is $2,500. The actual amount depends on how much and how long the deceased contributed to the plan over their lifetime. So not everyone receives the full maximum, but many do. Now here's the part that catches a lot of families completely off guard, and I want you to pay close attention to this. If there is a will and there is an executor, the person named to manage the estate, that executor has 60 days from the date of death to apply for this benefit. 60 days, that's 2 months, and when a family is dealing with grief, funeral arrangements, notifying people, and sorting through paperwork, 2 months can go by very quickly. If the executor doesn't apply within that window, Service Canada may then begin looking at other eligible people, such as whoever paid for the funeral arrangements or the next of kin. The benefit doesn't necessarily disappear, but the priority order shifts, and families can lose out on money that should rightfully have gone to the estate. So, if you are an executor or if you're helping a family member who has just lost a spouse or parent, this 60-day clock is something you need to be aware of immediately. There's also something else attached to this benefit that's worth knowing. A change that took effect in January 2025 and is still not widely understood. For deaths that occurred on or after January 1st of last year, there is now a potential top-up to the death benefit. Here's how it works. If the person who passed away never actually collected a CPP or QPP benefit based on their own contributions, meaning they contributed their whole working life but never drew on those contributions before they died, and there is no surviving spouse or common law partner who qualifies for the survivor's pension, the death benefit could be topped up by an additional $2,500. That would bring the total possible payout to $5,000. This is a newer rule and a lot of people haven't heard about it. I'll come back to this in a moment because there are a couple of specific situations where this matters a great deal. But first, let's talk about the survivor's pension. The monthly benefit for a surviving spouse or common law partner, because this is where one of the most common misconceptions about CPP lives. Many surviving spouses assume that when their partner passes away, they'll simply receive both their own CPP retirement pension and a full version of their partner's pension on top of it. That's not how it works, and if you go into the process expecting that, you may be disappointed by the numbers. What actually happens is this: Service Canada applies what's called a combined limit. If you're already receiving your own CPP retirement or disability pension, your survivor's benefit will be calculated as a specific percentage of your late partner's pension, and the combined total of both benefits cannot exceed the maximum monthly CPP retirement amount. You won't receive more than that cap, regardless of what both pensions add up to individually. What this means practically is that for seniors who are both receiving their own CPP, the addition of the survivor's pension may be smaller than expected. For someone who wasn't yet collecting CPP of their own, the survivor's pension may represent a more significant portion of their monthly income. The exact amount depends on your age at the time of your partner's death and what other CPP benefits you're receiving. The most important thing here is not to guess. Service Canada can give you a personalized estimate, and I'd strongly encourage anyone in this situation to contact them directly to understand what your specific monthly income will look like going forward. Think about someone like Helen. She's 68, living in Ontario, and she and her husband George both worked for decades and both drew their own CPP pensions. When George passed away, Helen assumed her monthly income would nearly double. When she finally connected with Service Canada, she learned the combined limit applied, and her total monthly CPP was notably less than she'd expected. It wasn't a crisis, but it did affect her planning. If she'd known ahead of time, she could have had more realistic expectations and made better decisions in the months after George's passing. That's exactly why understanding this rule before you need it matters so much. Now, for families with children, there is a separate monthly benefit designed specifically to help with the cost of raising dependent children after a contributing parent passes away. This is called the CPP Children's Benefit, and it's a flat-rate monthly payment. In 2026, that amount is $307.81 per month per child. Children under 18 are eligible. Young adults between 18 and 25 are also eligible, but only if they are enrolled full-time at a recognized school, college, university, or trade program. If the child is under 18, the parent or guardian with custody applies on their behalf. If the child is between 18 and 25 and in school, they generally need to apply on their own using a specific student declaration form. For a family with 2 or 3 young children who just lost a parent, these monthly payments can add up to real, meaningful support during an already devastating time. And yet, because this benefit isn't automatic, some families simply never apply and never receive a dollar of it. Now I want to share something that I think is the most overlooked piece of this entire topic. And before I get to it, I want to mention, if you're finding this kind of information valuable and you want to stay informed about CPP, OAS, GIS, and other retirement and family benefits, consider subscribing to Canadian Retirement Benefits. We publish regular videos with straightforward, practical information designed specifically for Canadian seniors and their families. No jargon, no confusion, just clear explanations of what matters. Now, here's the part I really want you to hold on to. Let's go back to that top-up on the death benefit. The scenario where it applies is quite specific, but it's more common than people realize. Imagine a man named Frank. He worked hard his whole life, paid into CPP for over 30 years, and retired at 63 with the intention of delaying his CPP until 65 to get a higher monthly amount. He passed away unexpectedly at 64. Before he ever collected a single CPP payment based on his own contributions, he also was widowed several years earlier and had no surviving spouse. Under the updated rules for deaths after January 2025, Frank's estate could now be eligible for up to $5,000 rather than the standard $2,500 maximum. The higher payment recognizes that he contributed to the plan his entire working life and never drew from it. His family needs to know this, his executor needs to apply, and that application still needs to happen within 60 days. The stories like Frank's are the ones that fall through the cracks most often, because when someone passes away before ever receiving CPP, the family sometimes assumes there's nothing to claim. That assumption can cost them thousands of dollars. So let's talk about how to actually apply, because knowing about a benefit doesn't help if you don't know what to do next. The application process starts with gathering the right documents. You'll need a certified copy of the death certificate, the social insurance number of the person who passed away, and the SIN of whoever is applying. If you're applying for the survivor's pension, you'll need proof of your relationship. a marriage certificate, or documentation of your common law status. If you're claiming the death benefit and someone other than the estate paid for the funeral, keeping those receipts and invoices will also be useful. The most efficient way to apply is through your My Service Canada account online. It allows you to submit documents, track your application, and get updates. If you prefer paper forms, the death benefit application is Form ISP 1200. The Survivor's Pension and Children's Benefits are on Form ISP 1300. You can mail these to Service Canada or bring them in person to a Service Canada centre. And one practical tip worth mentioning: if you visit a Service Canada location in person, their staff can often certify copies of your documents on the spot, free of charge. That saves you the cost of going to a notary or commissioner of oaths. One more timing detail that every family should know: even though there's no hard expiry date on some of these benefits, back payments are generally capped at 12 months. That means if you wait over a year to apply, you lose the payments that would have been made during that delay. For a monthly benefit like the Survivor's Pension or the Children's Benefit, a year of missed payments is a year of income gone. Apply as soon as you reasonably can, ideally within the first few weeks. Let's bring this all together because I know this is a lot of information delivered on a difficult subject. The CPP Death Benefit is a one-time payment of up to $2,500 for the estate, potentially up to $5,000 under the newer top-up rules for people who never collected their own CPP and had no surviving partner. The 60-day application window for executors is the most urgent detail in this entire video. The Survivor's Pension provides ongoing monthly income for a surviving spouse, but it's subject to a combined limit that many people don't expect. So getting a personalized estimate from Service Canada is essential. And the Children's Benefit offers monthly support for dependent children and full-time students up to age 25, $307.81 per child per month in 2026. But only if someone applies for it. None of this happens automatically. Every benefit requires action. The families who know these rules, who act within the right time frames, and who submit the right forms are the ones who receive everything they're entitled to. And that's exactly the kind of knowledge that makes a real difference when it matters most. If you found this helpful and want to stay informed about CPP, OAS, GIS, and other programs that support Canadian seniors and their families, consider subscribing to Canadian Retirement Benefits. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourself and of the people you love,